At 1:13 in the morning, a Facebook post appeared that would later terrify everyone who loved Arianna Fitts. The words were short, careless, and wrong. Spending time with my 3-year-old need this break. But Arianna was only 2, and her mother never wrote like this. What looked harmless at first would become the final digital footprint before a child was taken and a mother was murdered. What happened next changed everything. Arianna Fitts was a bright, energetic toddler, curious about the world, full of life, and deeply loved. She had a laugh that filled rooms and a future no one imagined would be stolen. But on April 1st, 2016, something snapped behind closed doors. Nicole Fitts left work early, withdrew $600 in cash, and drove toward Arianna's babysitter. But the truth was far more disturbing than anyone realized. That night, Nicole told her roommate she was driving to Fresno to meet a friend named Sam. For days after Nicole and Arianna were reported missing, the case took a horrifying turn. On April 8, 2016, investigators searching McLaren Park made a discovery that would shatter any remaining hope. Beneath a piece of plywood, hidden in a shallow grave, Nicole Fitts was found dead. She had been murdered and buried in silence, her body concealed under spray-painted symbols that raised more questions than answers. What happened next changed everything. The moment Nicole was found dead, the case stopped being a missing persons search and became a race against time. Because Arianna was still out there, and whoever killed Nicole might still have her. But the truth was far more disturbing. Investigators announced publicly that Arianna was believed to be at risk. A 2-year-old child, alone, vulnerable, and possibly in the hands of the person who brutally murdered her mother. And that's where things got darker. The crime scene revealed no sign of Arianna, but despite searches, interviews, and forensic work, no arrest followed. The trail went cold again. Nicole was buried. Arianna was still missing, and the city was left asking one question no one could answer. Where was the child? As months passed without answers, the investigation sank into a painful silence. Nicole Fitts was murdered, her killer unknown. Arianna Fitts was still missing, her fate unspoken. Every lead seemed to dissolve the moment it was touched. And that's where things got darker. Detectives dug into Nicole's final hours, replaying timelines again and again. The cash withdrawal, the unexplained trip, the mysterious name Sam. But what they didn't know was whether any of it was real. Friends insisted Nicole never mentioned Fresno. Family swore she would never leave Arianna without warning. And that Facebook post kept haunting investigators. The spelling, the grammar, the age mistake. It felt staged, like a performance meant to buy time. What happened next changed everything, and the possibility that someone had raised her, hidden her, or harmed her beyond recovery lingered like a shadow. But just when it seemed the case would disappear into archives forever, authorities made a decision that would reignite attention. They would offer money, and they would show the world what Arianna might look like now. And that reopened everything. In March 2020, authorities made a move designed to shake the silence. A $100,000 reward was announced for information leading to the arrest and conviction of whoever murdered Nicole Fitts and took Arianna. What happened next changed everything, at least emotionally. The reward wasn't just money. It was an admission. The case had stalled, and investigators needed the public. But the truth was far more disturbing. Even with 6 figures on the table, no solid leads emerged. Around the same time, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children released an age progression image of Arianna. She was no longer a toddler. She was 6 years old in the image. Bigger eyes, longer hair, a future imagined through software. And that's where things got darker. Seeing Arianna age forward forced a question no one wanted to ask. If she was alive, who had her? And why had no one spoken? Family members broke down publicly. They clung to hope while preparing for the worst. Or she could be gone forever. And until someone spoke, no one would know. And that uncertainty was the cruelest part of all. To understand the weight of this case, you have to understand who Arianna was. She was 2 years old, 2 feet tall, 45 pounds, brown eyes that watched everything, black hair that bounced when she laughed. She was innocent in the purest sense. And that's what makes this crime unbearable. What happened next changed everything for her family. Birthdays became memorials without graves. Holidays were marked by empty chairs and unanswered prayers. Nicole's relatives mourned 2 losses at once. A daughter brutally murdered, a granddaughter taken without explanation. And that's where things got darker. Every year that passed meant fewer people remembered Arianna's face as it truly was. Only age progression images remained, artificial guesses replacing real memories. But the truth was far more disturbing. And until the truth surfaces, the case remains a wound that never closes. Cold cases don't fade because people stop caring. They fade because time erases urgency. Witnesses forget. Details blur. And that's what nearly happened here. Nicole Fitts was murdered in 2016. Nearly a decade has passed. And still, no one has been charged. But what they didn't know was how close this case sits to the surface. Detectives continue to revisit every piece of evidence. The babysitters, the vehicle, the grave, the symbol sprayed on the plywood. Nothing is dismissed. And that's where things got darker. The absence of answers suggests something terrifying. Either the person responsible was careful, or the truth is hidden in plain sight. What happened next changed everything internally for investigators. They shifted focus from quick resolution to long-term pressure. Public appeals. There is a reason this case refuses to be forgotten. It violates something fundamental. A child was taken after her mother was murdered. That combination triggers a primal fear. And that's why people still talk about Arianna Fitts. What happened next changed the way the public saw the case. Online communities began re-examining details. The Facebook post, the grammar, the timing. Amateur investigators noticed what authorities already knew. That message was likely not written by Nicole. And that's where things got darker. If someone else typed those words, it means they had access to her phone after she was killed. It means they were calm enough to post publicly, calm enough to lie. The truth was far more disturbing. That post may have been designed to delay discovery, to buy hours, maybe days, time that could be used to hide a body. The hardest part of this case isn't what is known. It's what isn't. There is no confirmed timeline after April 1st. No verified sighting. No physical proof of Arianna's fate. And that uncertainty is a weapon. What happened next changed the way investigators framed the case. Instead of asking where Arianna went, they began asking who benefited from her absence. And that's where things got darker. Control, money, fear. Motive can hide in ordinary places. The $600 withdrawn that night has never been fully explained. Was it payment? Was it coercion? Or was it forced? Today, Arianna Fitts would be 8 years old. Old enough to go to school. Old enough to ask questions about who she is. Or old enough to exist only in memory. And that's where things get unbearable. Nicole Fitts was murdered and never saw justice. Her daughter was taken and never came home. What happened next depends on one thing. Someone choosing to speak. The San Francisco Police Department still accepts tips. The FBI still waits for the call that breaks everything open. And that's not a formality. Cold cases end every year because someone reaches a breaking point. Because guilt becomes louder than fear. The truth was far more disturbing, but also hopeful. This case is solvable. The timeline is narrow. The circle is small. And the silence is unnatural. Someone knows exactly what happened in early April 2016. And they've carried it ever since. And this is where the case stands. Open, active, unfinished. A murdered mother, a missing child, and a family that refuses to stop waiting. If you know anything about what happened to Nicole Fitts or Arianna Fitts, this is the moment that matters. Because cases like this don't fade. They wait. They sit quietly until the truth is forced into the light. What happened next could change everything. One call, one memory, one detail someone thought didn't matter. And that's where things could finally end. Nicole deserves justice. Arianna deserves her name back. And the people responsible deserve to be held accountable. The truth is out there. And it's been waiting far too long.